We start a new NFL year. For the Dolphins and Bears, recent seasons have been super. 3 years ago, Miami celebrated a record 6th Super Bowl appearance. And the Bears of 2 years ago dominated as the Fridge. McMahon, Dent, and Ditka won the Super Bowl big. Today in the 1988 opener, both teams are in transition with large casts of new faces. And with change, coaches Don Shula and Mike Ditka start with tempered excitement and the challenge and concern of the unknown. And we start 1988 at Soldier Field in Chicago. At high noon, gray skies, 70 degrees of temperature, a definite threat of showers, 66,000 plus to see the Bears open against the Dolphins, and with it all the excitement of opening day for players and for coaches, for fans, and even for broadcasters. Hello everyone, Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen.
Dick, there's a special energy with this opening game. The excitement is definitely here in this stadium today.
Well, we mentioned the excitement of all except for the coaches. There's a few furrowed brows there.
Concern might be the word. These two teams have looked anything but super in the preseason.
All right, let's take the Miami offense on the field. Marino at quarterback against that Bear defense with all of its reputation. What are you looking for?
Dick, this is a case of strength against strength. A pressure defense, the best part of this Bear team, against a quarterback that does its best against pressure. And I'm going to be looking for how much time Marino has to throw the football. You won't measure that in sacks, but in pressure on Marino today.
And of course the Bears going without those two outside linebackers. Marshall is in Washington and Wilson is on the injured list. Now McMahon and the Bears offense is on the field against a defense, Miami, that has been very porous.
They certainly have. This is a cold weather possession offense. They want to reestablish the running game. Walter Payton is gone. The new star here, Neil Anderson. They're hoping to reestablish themselves and their running game against the defense that has not stopped the run over the past years, but is better this year against that.
And there's Dan Marino in his 6th year. By the way, his 2-year-old son celebrates his birthday today down in Miami. Dan, not junior, but the next Dan Marino to come. Number 13 has been a very lucky number for the Dolphins.
Jim McMahon has had his healthiest preseason ever, perhaps boding well for his work at quarterback here. His numbers exciting as a starting quarterback. He says he feels good. He's looking forward to getting this season underway.
And as you can see, Soldier Field is carpeted with natural grass here in 1988. They've ripped up the artificial turf of 17 years, and they play on the grass. Had trouble earlier in the season, but it seems to be in good shape now as this kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Butler kicks it off for Chicago. The 88 season underway as it spins down to Lorenzo Hampton, who, without a dramatic flair, kneels and takes it at the 20-yard line. And here comes Marino and the Dolphin offense. It'll read this way. Troy Stratford, who led the team in rushing and receiving last year at halfback with the veteran fullback Woody Bennett. Mark Duper, who signed late. Mark Clayton, the Mark boys on the outside with Bruce Hardy, the veteran tight end. The offensive line, Dennis Foster Dellenbach for the injured Dwight Stevenson, Toth, and Lee. Light shower falling as Miami puts it in play. First scrimmage down. And Marino predictably comes out throwing. Has a man incomplete. Intended for Ron Davenport, who started instead of Bennett at fullback. Ron Rivera, number 59 on the coverage for the Bears. And here's how that defense appears. There are some changes. William Perry, the refrigerator, moving from inside to outside after he went off to the diet camp. Steve McMichael, the man who hunts rattlesnakes in Texas. Veteran Dan Hampton. Richard Dent, the pass rusher. Rivera, Singletary, Morrissey, the linebackers. Richardson and Jackson at the corners, and Doerson and Gale at safety. 2nd and 10. Open is Duper. First down at the 32-yard line. A 12-yard pickup. Vesti Jackson on the corner made the hit.
The weaknesses in this Bears secondary are exploitable if Marino has time. You'll notice how far off the ball these two cornerbacks play, and Marino will test them early with those quick patterns outside, hoping to get them to bite a little bit and then get upfield on them.
Mike Ditka told us yesterday he still plans the blitz 20 to 25% of the time, but without an Otis Wilson, without a Wilbert Marshall, it may be a different attack from that side of the line of scrimmage for Chicago. First running play in the Stratford Stratford darting for 3 to the 35. Singletary, the Pro Bowler middle linebacker, 5 in a row for Singletary, was the first to make contact.
What does the cornerback do when his wide receiver goes in motion all the way across the formation? He must follow. That's the 27, Mike Richardson, almost becoming a linebacker here, and he's the man that steps up inside to get the first hit on Troy Stratford. Gale there, number 23, right after him, but a good play by the veteran left corner.
And indeed, Singletary came in for an also. Marino changing plays, splits his backs on 2nd and 7. With pressure on, upfield incomplete. And it was Richard Dent bumping Marino as he threw the ball. Bruce Hardy, the intended receiver. No flag.
That is not a sack, and I mentioned you have a heck of a time sacking Marino. He throws the ball so quickly, gets it out of there, and usually gets it out on target. But that's the guy right there that is going to cause him trouble. 95 Dent splitting wide and breaking inside of Dennis. He's all over Marino, but Marino still almost got the completion to Hardy.
Little extra shove from Dent, who flirted with a penalty. None was called. 3rd and 7. Shotgun for the first time. Good protection. Going long for Pruitt. And out of his hands as Pruitt. What a great throw from Marino. You can't lay it in there any better than that. And Pruitt had both hands on it, and it slipped through incomplete.
James Pruitt may be the most dangerous third wide receiver in football. You've got to double cover Clayton and Duper. And that puts usually a man-to-man situation on Pruitt. Watch him here. He just blitzes by Richardson, showing you his speed, and then flat drops the football. That should be a touchdown.
Reggie Roby's first punt off the side of his foot and out of bounds. It'll kick at the 40-yard line of Chicago. You won't see many like that from Roby. It was a solid punter. He almost missed it completely. Gets 25 yards with no return.
Roby told me prior to the game he has worked on speeding up his rhythm because he was blocked in a game against Denver in the preseason. Maybe too fast. The rhythm not there as he just booted it off the right side of his foot, shanks it out of bounds, and uncharacteristic for Reggie Roby.
A penalty against the Dolphins, 5-yard for motion, declined by Chicago. They start in good field position.
Let's see if we can see the break and timing here. Roby, a two-step kicker, a very high drop. He just did not hit that ball well. Almost missed it.
Jim McMahon at quarterback. Matt Suhey, the veteran fullback, with Neil Anderson, number 35. Anderson, who played fullback last year, now at Peyton's halfback spot. A fake reverse to McKinnon. McMahon in trouble, and then over the middle to Suhey. And Suhey has a first down at the Miami 48-yard line. 12 yards for the Bears on their first play. Here is the Bear offense. McMahon, Anderson, Suhey. Wendell Davis, a first-round pick at wide receiver out of LSU. They really like him. Ron Morris from SMU. He started as a rookie last year. The veteran Emery Moorhead at tight end. John Wojciechowski for the injured Covert, Bortz, Hilgenberg Pro Bowler, Thayer, and Van Horn, the front 5. From the Miami 48. That's the rookie Thornton, tight end in motion. Anderson's first carry. Down to about the 43. Oh, he got 3 yards before he even saw anything in a white uniform. Good explosion by that offensive line. A gain of 5. Jackie Schiff, number 50, and on the tackle for Miami. T.J. Turner, Brian Soche, and rookie Eric Kumaro from Ohio State. With Graff now wearing number 99, was wearing 58 last year and in the preseason. Jackie Schiff, John Offerdahl, Pro Bowler, and Hugh Green, the veteran, is back. Langford and Judson at the corners. Hobley and rookie Jarvis Williams from Florida. He takes Bud Brown's place in the secondary at starting safety. 2nd and 5. Flag down. Anderson breaking into the clear. Neil Anderson all the way for a touchdown. If it counts, I believe it'll be motion against Chicago.
Neil Anderson's style dramatically different from Peyton's.
Building a motion offense.
This crowd will not like that, nor will that man. But Anderson's showing you there why the Bears are so excited about finally getting him an opportunity at the running back position.
Referee Pat Haggerty. And his microphone apparently not working.
Well, we won't worry about that.
Illegal motion, number 78, second down.
Right tackle Keith Van Horn.
Costly mistake, nullifying the touchdown. Left-hand side of your screen, the tackle is the man that they signal as being off too quickly. Very difficult to see there.
It really didn't appear that from that angle, he was premature. 5-yard penalty.
That's not reviewable, however.
Second down and 11 for McMahon. Down at the 42 and a flag, and I believe a late hit or a hit into the helmet of McMahon.
Rick Graff, number 99, right there at the bottom saying, "Who, me?" But there was no question, McMahon not trying to get extra yardage going to the ground. You've got to stay off of those quarterbacks in a situation like that. John Boza in the game at that right defensive end position instead of Eric Kumaro. As you watch McMahon, who has never been afraid to run the football, has a good sense of where the openings are, but is much wiser today than he was early in his career. As you see the flag, now that's pointing out the guy who inflicted the penalty right there. Flag hitting him right in the back of the neck.
15-yard penalty, first down at the Miami 26-yard line. Suey plowing for 3, maybe 4 as he moves the pile. And hey, let's celebrate the 1988 first time for the 10-minute ticker. Only score on that board, Buffalo with an early field goal against a highly regarded Vikings. And we'll keep you abreast of all the scores. Those are the early games. Oh, the Eagles score early, 7-0, and many feel that Philadelphia is ready to be a true factor in that very tough Eastern Division of the NFC with the Redskins and Giants at all. Anderson in motion. The throw underneath to McKinnon and a first down at the 11-yard line of Miami. Paul Langford made the tackle, and McMahon has the Bears 11 yards from a touchdown.
There was concern here that Willie Galt's departure would really hurt this receiver core, but they now have a whole host of receivers who are not afraid to go inside. There's one right there, Dennis McKinnon, number 85. Fine hands, good pattern running ability. McMahon finding him open and getting that football to him. And this Miami secondary, very suspect if you've got time to run the patterns against them.
Anderson to the 8-yard line, a game of 3. No flag. There appeared to be some movement on the Miami side, but no encroachment.
Jack, I mentioned the difference in style between Anderson and Payton. Payton would attack the defense and did his best running up inside and then bouncing outside. Anderson is strongest when he can be up, looking at the offense, looking for the opening. There's Walter Payton looking on and cheering his teammates on, looking at the backside of Payton. But Anderson does his best work going outside, as I'm sure Walter would agree, sprinting to the outside and then cutting back against the grain.
Thomas Sanders in for Anderson is slotted way out to the left. And now McKinnon in motion. Flag down, McKinnon tackled at the 6-yard line. A good solid hit from number 49 William Judson on McKinnon, who grew up in Miami, went to high school there, and while a youngster rooted for the Dolphins, and his idol was Paul Warfield, the Hall of Famer.
So far, the Chicago Bears have managed to overcome their mistakes on this drive, but there's another one, and that's not going to please Mike Ditka. McMahon, a fine leader. This team believes in McMahon. One of his great strengths, in fact, is the ability he has to improve the performance of those around him. And I think that's one of the tests of a great quarterback.
The chant, "Let's go Bears," from this crowd now wrapping itself in rain gear.
Illegal formation. Offense.
8 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Mike Ditka, when he and the Bears recorded an 11-4 season last year, it was the 4th consecutive winning year. You have to go all the way back to 1951 in the Hallis era to find a Bear team that had 4 consecutive winning seasons. So he's brought more than respectability back to Chicago. After the 5 yards, it's McMahon into the end zone and almost intercepted. Intended for Matt Suhey. And the Dolphins read it well. Good coverage, and darting in front was William Judson. Had his hands on a possible interception.
Excellent pressure on McMahon by John Boza, number 97. Boza, who's missed 4 weeks with an ankle injury, getting back to speed quickly. I take it back. It was not Boza, it was Offerdahl. Boza was right in behind him. Number 56, the linebacker, coming in first from the left-hand side of your screen. There is the pressure, and it was the pressure, really, that created a bad throw. Could easily have been intercepted on that play.
So it's 3rd down and 11, 12 yards for a touchdown. The Bears have already had a 43-yard touchdown run by Anderson nullified. McMahon from the shotgun. Deflected into the air and almost intercepted with a flag is down.
I think the Bears may get another shot as the penalty is called in the defensive secondary.
There's a flag on the play.
And that may go the automatic first down with it.
Illegal contact. Number 24, defense.
Renee Thompson, number 24, goes in that nickel package, getting the chuck. Be on the right-hand side of your screen. I don't think we'll see it here. Flag went down a little bit late. McMahon, no one home, no one open. Finally tries to put one inside of McKinnon. Not McKinnon, Davis. Ball bouncing high. Boy, those are scary when they come off the offensive receiver that way.
Yeah, the 5-yard penalty against Thompson is only part of the story. The automatic first down denies the Dolphin defense of forcing a Chicago field goal. Now they have it 1st and goal, officially at the 7-yard line, although it's closer to the 8. Once inside the 8, they call it the 7.
The Chicago offense has self-destructed in this position many times, fumbling the ball away. Turnovers, a real problem for them in the preseason.
Oh, that's an understatement. It is that. Suhey down to the 3-yard line.
We'll show you those numbers for Chicago in a few minutes. There they are. You want to see a statistic that will give a coach nightmares. In 85, their dominant year, plus 23 in the giveaway takeaway ratio. They went to even in 1986, a minus 20 last year. And in 4 games this year, they're already a minus 17. They have yet to get a takeaway. Those are all turnovers. That is frightening.
17 times they coughed it up and didn't have an interception nor a fumble in the 4 preseason games. Anderson, he's got his touchdown anyway. Merlin, you talked about the Miami defense, and Don Shula trying to get his best people on the field. Finally does in this game, but it didn't stop the Bears. And Anderson.
Excellent blocking by 26 Suhey, 80 Thornton. Anderson not even tested as he got to the outside.
Tom Zach to hold for Kevin Butler. And the former Georgia Star has the extra point. The Chicago Bears have a 43-yard touchdown run by Anderson, nullified by penalty, and Anderson back to tally from 3. The Bears starting from their own 40 after the short Roby punt. It took them 59 yards plus 9 plays, 5.5 minutes. Anderson, a 2-yard run for the touchdown. Remember, Renee Thompson's defensive penalty of 5 yards. The Bears were going to try a field goal at that point, so that was a 4-point penalty at the least. Now Butler to kick for Lorenzo Hampton and Jarvis Williams. to Hampton. Same spot. He's going to take this one out. With the rain falling, flags falling, and so is Hampton at the 17.
Woody Bennett, number 34, going to be called for holding, I believe, or illegal use of hands on the far side. And what starts as poor field position will get even poorer.
Mickey Pruitt, rookie from Colorado, made the tackle on the special teams.
Holding. Miami. Illegal pushing it back. Miami.
For a team that has been the least penalized NFL team of the 1980s, Don Shula's Dolphins, they certainly are not starting well today. Those are the starters last year in the opener that are gone. Payton retired. Marshall playing with the Redskins. Wilson is injured. Gold traded to the Raiders. Covert is injured. They hope he might come back next week. Fensick has retired. Reggie Phillips was released.
This is where you love to play as a defense. Let's see what kind of heat they can put on. An audible from Marino.
Out of the back to the tight end, Hardy has it for a gain of about 5 out to the 10-yard line. With 7:18 remaining in the opening quarter, and Miami trailing Chicago 7-0. 49ers score early at New Orleans. Dallas has a touchdown at Pittsburgh. Rams score first at Green Bay. And Atlanta kicks a field goal at the Silverdome.
Fumble. Richard Dent has it at the 1-foot line.
The Chicago Bears' first takeaway of 1988, a big one. It's worth 6 points as Dent scoops up the errant football and rolls into the end zone.
It's not a touchdown. They down it at the 1-foot line.
Let's watch Dent as he reacts to this football. Number 74, Mark Dennis, doesn't know it's there. Dent gets down, gets his hands on it, and gets into the end zone. But was there contact with him outside of the end zone? That might be a reviewable play. Dent was on the ground and in contact with Mark Dennis before he rolled into the end zone.
Well, you get your first takeaway. Mike Ditka, you can't ask for a better spot than inside the opponent's 1-yard line. Richard Dent.
And they are going to review that one, Dick, as you see the official stopping play. Now let's see if Dent, as he gets down onto the ground, clearly down.
And there was contact.
And there was contact with the defender. I think they're going to have to earn this touchdown, although it's going to be from very short yardage.
You see there's contact, and here's McMahon a foot away from a 14-0 lead, and he's got the touchdown. Now, Neil Anderson, in 6 minutes and 46 seconds left in the first quarter, already has 2 touchdowns.
Well, I think if you talk to Mike Ditka right now and ask him about all the preseason woes, he'd tell you the best thing about preseason, it doesn't count. And right now, the Bears looking good.
Kevin Butler will attempt the extra point.
And Butler adds the extra point. 6:46 remaining in the opening quarter, and the Bears are growling early. Stevenson on the left. Jeff Dellenbach, number 65, the man who's replaced him at center. Stevenson, of course, the great All-Pro, and the fumbled snap is worth 7 for Chicago.
They had one last week, and Dellenbach had done a good job to eliminate those, but this one extremely costly. It results in a touchdown.
So the Bears kick off for the 3rd time in less than 9 minutes of this game. This one's a little shorter by Butler, and Hampton returnable at the 7. Lorenzo Hampton diving to the 27-yard line. Go back to Anderson's easy 1-footer. This is a gimme.
These are the kind you love to have a shot at, and particularly against a defense that is not physically big enough really to stand up as well as they'd like to at the point of attack. That's been the weakness of this Miami defense. We'll come back and show you If we can, yes, there it is right there. Marino never got the football. Never got his hands on the football.
And the alert Richard Dent scooping it up to set up the score. Trailing 14-0. Marino underneath. Oh, good move by Stratford.
Jim Morrissey still doesn't know where he is. Morrissey turned all the way around. Number 51, new left outside linebacker of the Bears, getting a chance to play in the place of the injured Otis Wilson. And Stratford is going to do that to you anyway. Tremendous quickness. He and Lorenzo Hampton, two of the strengths of this Miami offense, which unfortunately has not looked as strong as they want to be here in the early going.
10 yards and a first down for Stratford. Woody Bennett. He's across the 40-yard line. Dan Hampton, the tackler.
Tackled by Hampton, Hendrick Michael.
Morrissey at the point of attack as Bennett runs right. Notice that Richard Dent is over on that side. He is playing some on the left-hand side today defensively as you watch number 51, Morrissey, getting driven out of the play. He's only 227 pounds. They're concerned about his ability to handle the pressure at the point of attack. Now Dent has moved back to his regular position. That's something new. They've not done that.
Moving in from right to right side to left. Here's Stratford. And he's caught from behind, wrestled down at the 44, short of the first down. Dave Dorson, who led the Bears in tackles last year, number 22, now at strong safety, has his first of 1988.
The switch of Dent done for two reasons. They want him on the open side, as well as to put William Perry against the tight end in that double teaming position where he can be perhaps more effective. Dave Dorson, all-world safety.
Shotgun. Jim Jensen in the backfield with Marino. He goes over the middle, incomplete. Almost intercepted by Vesti Jackson. James Pruitt again had his hands on it and knocked it in the air where Jackson had the best shot of all at the ball.
When we talk about pressure on a quarterback, this is what we're talking about. Watch from the right-hand side of your screen, 95. Hardly touched. All over him. Inside, 99, Hampton. Marino has to get that football out of there. He's very lucky that that one was not intercepted.
Roby trying to make amends for a very poor punt. Bad snap. And a bad kick. And it was touched at about the 32 by Don McNeil of the Dolphins. And again, the Bears on a poor Roby punt have good field position. 31 yards on that one by Reggie. He's talking to himself. Timeout. 4:26 left in the first period.
Your guy moved.
Reggie Roby has a career average of almost 44 yards a punt. 2 25-yarders to open the 88 season. Bears start from their 32, leading 14-0. Morris to the right, McKinnon to the left. Suey and Anderson, the running backs behind Jim McMahon. Anderson. Anderson with a great job of running. Just darted away from 3 Dolphins who appeared to finally have him for a loss. Reverses his field. And out of bounds he goes out at the 47-yard line. Another first down.
Great players turn bad plays into good plays. This should be a loss. 99, Graff gets good position and misses the tackle. And Anderson uses his speed to go all the way back across the grain here. Finally tackled by 49 or run out of bounds by Judson. But not until he's picked up the first down.
15 yards for Anderson, who has a couple of touchdowns in this opening quarter. 4:14 to go. Sanders wrapped up. No gain. There's a good defensive charge by the Dolphins.
Number 99, Rick Graff, in the middle of your screen, came on strongly for this defense in the last half of last year. The talk in Miami was this is another linebacker who could come in and dominate. Has not done it in the preseason.
There's the problem, and of course Don Shula not accustomed to seeing his defenses down in the cellar.
That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing to be down at the bottom of the heap.
And they've not been able to stop the Bears in the first quarter today. Draw play. And Sanders is across the 50 to the Miami 49, where it'll be 3rd down and 6 for Chicago. The Saints, a playoff team last year, to the delight of the folks down on Bourbon Street, have tied San Francisco. Pittsburgh, after falling behind 7-0, now leads 10-7 over Dallas. Phoenix, no score, and Philadelphia has another touchdown at Tampa Bay. Here, 14-0 Chicago. One of the scores, a 1-foot drive after Richard Dent recovered a Miami fumble inside the Miami 1. A man going long for Gentry, and through the arms of 24 Renee Thompson. But a flag is down. I was about to say that the Dolphins have stopped Chicago, but maybe the penalty will alter that. Holding against Chicago, so the Bears will have to punt it.
And an opportunity to take that football on the interception.
Holding. 73. Offense. Decline. 4th down.
Wojciechowski holding. They put the Miami Dolphins do something interesting, and we'll give you a look at it later on, but when they get in long yardage situations, they take their nose tackle, Brian Sauché, and move him out to end. He's a more effective pass rusher, they believe, from the end position. Rather a unique manipulation of the defensive line.
So Scott Schwade's 81 near side, Jarvis Williams 26 far side. Brian Wagner, who kicked at Cal State Northridge. Another bad snap, and this one is going to Miami at the 38. Well, we'll see where it go. Out of bounds finally at the 43-yard line.
There's no possession on that fumble, but the ball will still turn over to the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, Don Shula. His team gets to turn over. Can't see what he's arguing about, but he does have the football at the 43.
Earlier, we saw some bad snaps to Reggie Roby, interrupting his style, and again, the bad snap there, way off to the side. Hunter unable to control it. Ball bouncing loose. John Addix, some errant snaps in the preseason, continues his problems.
Officials take a timeout with 2 minutes and 34 seconds remaining. First quarter, the Bears by 14. Now, these are the kind of mistakes you expect in the preseason, not on opening day. Look at John Addix snap way off to the right of Wagner. Brzezinski came in to tie up Wagner, the punter, and then, ironically, Brian Kinchin, who had the bad snap for Miami, was the man who fell on the ball initially. So Miami gets a break, and Marino trying to take advantage. A flag down. Wide open is Duper. No control. Incomplete. That would have been down at the 23-yard line. It appeared the Bears were offside.
And Duper, who has got a little bit of playing time last week and has settled into the rhythm of things, looking for the sideline, took his concentration off the ball just long enough to bobble it. Has to control it. The official right on the spot saying no catch.
First down.
Duper, who held out for 39 days and then caught 3 passes in the final preseason game, his only action in the preseason.
You saw him dip his head right there to look for the sideline instead of controlling the football. It cost him the reception, and they do pick up the first down and 5 on the penalty.
Roy Stratford. And another flag down. He got to the 36-yard line. Ron Rivera, who played at California, number 59. He has replaced Wilbur Marshall. Actually, he's lined up on the left side, which was Otis Wilson's spot, with Morrissey on the right side, and it's against Miami.
No question about Rivera's ability to play the running game is not as effective out in the open.
Holding. Number 80. Offense.
Farrell Edmonds, the rookie tight end.
Both teams with a rookie tight end wearing number 80. Edmonds runs a 4.5 40 and certainly is a huge target. Also not a bad blocker. They've got to get him the kind of experience he needs so he can utilize his speed. He still doesn't know how to use that great speed.
First down and 15. As the penalty was marked off from the spot of the foul. Ooh, almost intercepted by Rivera, intended for Bruce Hardy.
That's where the question mark is on Rivera in his ability to close on the ball, and he certainly passed the test there. Number 59, Ron Rivera, as they try to get the ball to Hardy on a quick throw, and Rivera reading the pattern and mashing that one off the tips of his fingers. They call that the Rainbow Coalition. They got a wasp, a black, and a Chicano in there at linebacker.
Marino again from the shotgun. Flags down again. Movement by the Dolphins. No less than 4 flags tossed.
Ball start, number 61, offense.
Dolphin offensive lineman, Dick, reacting to the pressure as the Bears threatened the blitz, jumping toward the line, which they are allowed to do. And Foster reading that motion on the right, lifting up too quickly.
Second, 18. At their own, 49.
Ooh, Eagles 21-0 at Tampa Bay. So the 3 plays after the errant snap on the punt for Miami have all involved penalties. First 5 yards against Chicago, now 2 against Miami. This Jim Jensen on a little delay, and the former quarterback still on his feet. Jim Jensen all the way to the 28-yard line. Oh, my. Jensen from Boston University, who was the all-purpose player for Miami, special teams, wide receiver, backup quarterback, backup snapper on punt, and now he's finding a home as one of the running backs in the shotgun. Here's the
William Perry going to lead us to the ball. A poor play there, but watch him as he goes slowly, and then using his quickness and acceleration, actually gets down to get a piece. I'm sure that Vince Tobin is saying, yeah, but I need to have you hustle. You got to hustle on every play.
And he was as heavy as 377 pounds when he checked into camp this summer. Now down probably around 330. Touchdown, Mark Clayton. And another great throw from Marino as the Dolphins are on the board in the final minute of this opening quarter.
Beautiful pass. Clayton making a difficult catch over his head, and Marino knowing exactly where he had to put that football. The only place that he could throw it to keep it away from the defensive back, fading Clayton to the outside.
Yeah, the 23-yard run by Jim Jensen setting it up. And the Dolphins have a chance to express some smiles over on the sidelines as Fuad Reveiz tries the point after. 14-7. So Miami capitalizes on the bad snap on the punt, taking over at the 43, and in 4 plays, they've cut the Chicago lead in half.
Time. You can't give Dan Marino this much time. Waits, knows he has a shot as Clayton has beaten Vesti Jackson and 22 Duerson, and that pass over the shoulder and into the end zone.
Clayton, a great athlete. See it able to run at full speed, twist his body away, and make that Willie Mays type touchdown catch.
Well, the sunshine breaking through here. A little sunshine into Dan Marino's afternoon.
So it's 14-7 Chicago. Clayton, who is not only an outstanding receiver, but consistency, one of his many virtues. Yesterday, even just practicing punting, you just see that he can do everything well athletically. He can throw the ball, he can kick it, he can run it, he can catch it.
His strength, too, in the quickness side of the pattern. He is not as fast straight away as Mark Duper, but he is extremely quick in getting into his passing patterns. The white hat, David Shula, who's come down out of the press box to the sideline, and he said the reason I want to do that, if possible, is so I can have better communications with the offense. He's taken over greater responsibilities in the play calling areas, working head-to-head here with Dan Marino on the right-hand side. And that's more important because a pair of eyes are missing on that sideline.
Dennis Gentry at the 12. Dangerous kick return artist gets to the 28-yard line. Jeff Cross, a rookie downfield, along with Harry Galbraith.
Brought down by Cross.
We don't see too many defensive linemen, Dick, on kickoff coverage. Jeff Cross, rookie out of the University of Utah, sprinting down. He's the wedge buster. They want him to come down and break things open downfield. You see him sprinting down right there, gets Brad Muster, another rookie, head on, but keeps his feet, and he's the first man there to be another tackle.
Neil Anderson to the 34-yard line. Thomas James Turner from Houston makes the tackle as we run out of time into the first quarter.
All the good players should come from Utah. Actually, Cross coming from Missouri. I didn't mean to do that. You good folks out there in Missouri.
Don't think they'll get another play off. 7 seconds, clock ticking down, in a mistake-full first quarter for both teams. The Bears taking advantage of a fumble on the 1-yard line, and that's the difference in the game. Chicago 14, Miami 7, end of 1. Soldier Field 14-7. The Bears leading the Dolphins. It has been a week of tumult in the National Football League with the suspensions for drug use of key players.
I think it's about time that the NFL came down hard. They've got to do something to stop this problem, Dick. And for years, there was lip service. It was a PR program. They expected coaches and owners to fight this problem. It didn't happen. And if you look at the names on that suspension list, you know why. The league has taken it into their own hands, but their real test is going to come when they get the results back on the steroids tests. We're going to be interested to see how they deal with those.
Frank DeFord will have a halftime commentary about drugs and the NFL as we start the second quarter. The Bears looking for the first down, and I believe Neil Anderson has it. First quarter statistics, 73 yards for the Bears, 88 for Miami. That's surprising.
Well, it certainly is. Bears owning the first part of the game as Miami struggled. But Marino, as he is capable of doing, exploding quickly to get points on the board. That single turnover worth 7 points on the board. And, of course, the big play so far in this ball game in terms of the difference in score.
The 50 yards for the Bears rushing Merlin, and that's taking away a 43-yard run.
Yes, it certainly is. And that's the stat we said we were going to look at when the Bears offense is on the field. If they can control the football running, they can open up their passing game. McMahon loves the play-action passing game. And certainly playing in this cold water and cold weather later on in the year, they have to be able to control the football on the ground.
And the Bears are a running team fitting their cold climes, and of course Miami, a passing team that fits the warmth of southern Florida. First down at the 39. 14-7 Chicago. Thomas Sanders will get more work this year, says Mike Ditka. He's from Texas A&M in his 4th year. He's averaged 6 yards a carry in his first 3 years, although limited duty with Chicago. Buffalo now leading Minnesota 10-0. The Phoenix Cardinals have scored at Cincinnati.
That Minnesota score of interest to these Bear fans who are feeling the heat of the Vikings on the back of their necks here in the NFC Central Division.
James Thornton, the rookie tight end from Cal State Fullerton, lines up on the right side. That's Calvin Thomas in motion. McMahon over the middle, and Sanders is hit immediately at the 45-yard line after a short gain by rookie Jarvis Williams. Williams from Florida, second-round pick of the Dolphins, has replaced Bud Brown at safety as a starter.
They feel that his range and his speed will be a valuable addition back there. They have not been getting the big plays out of that defensive secondary. They've got to have someone who can get to that football, who can read the quarterback's eyes and then close on those receivers and either bat the ball away or make the tackle or knock it away or intercept it. Brown will come in still on the long yardage packages, on the nickel packages. Ooh, they got the blitz on. 9, 10 men up.
On 3rd and 3, McMahon. Wide open. Dennis McKinnon, first down at the 39-yard line. David Fry, 53. Bud Brown also in on the tackle, but wide open was McKinnon, who played at Florida State.
A taste of the Bears' own medicine. That's the 46 Bear defense thrown at them by Miami, and then they back out of it to try and get the coverage here, but did not do a good job of getting back into zones. McKinnon able to find the gap and take the football for the first down.
And McMahon, as you could see, had a wide open field. He could have picked up the 3 easily on the run had he decided to hoof it. 14-7 Chicago. Play action. McMahon looking for a big one. McKinnon's got it. First down at the 4-yard line. Offerdahl, Hobley, and Williams in on the tackle. First and goal, Chicago.
A good, strong running game. You can get those defensive backs to bite on the run game. And that's exactly what the Bears have done here. Look how open McKinnon is here as he breaks into the secondary. Just hoofs it down inside. What, 3-yard line, 4-yard line before they finally strip him down. McKinnon having a big day.
A Mack attack. McMahon to McKinnon. McMahon to McKinnon. First and goal at the 4. And a whistle.
They may have had too much time on that one.
Or motion.
Well, 1 second on the clock, so they got it off.
Ball start. Offense.
So that'll make it tougher for Chicago. First and goal from the 9-yard line. The tight ends bring in the plays from Mike Ditka. Here comes the veteran Emery Moorhead, the 12-year veteran from Colorado.
Oldest player on this team, and they're excited about the young man Thornton, who's come in to play tight end for them. The one thing that he will do for them is to give them a much stronger blocker at that tight end position. But Moorhead has made big plays over the years for the Chicago Bear offense.
Gentry left, McKinnon, the hot receiver, to the right, and then it's given up the middle to Anderson to the 6-yard line.
There's the kind of thing that I mentioned earlier, that Anderson likes to take the ball wide and then come back against the grain. What you have to do against him is make sure your inside-out pursuit doesn't get knocked off. Watch the flow of Miami defense. Well, you'll see them coming inside here. Nowhere for Anderson to go as white shirts clogging the way. He's not afraid to stick his head in there. I like him. And so much more effective at running back than he was at fullback last year. He was simply out of position. Ditka knew that, but felt he had to get him in the game.
Up the middle, Thomas Sanders, and he's tripped up just shy of the goal line by John Offerdahl at the 1-yard line. He was down, no fumble. It'll be 3rd and goal at the 1-yard line. Inside the 1, at the 1-foot line, in fact.
The gray hair belongs to Greg Landry, who is doing more and more of the play calling for Mike Ditka, as both head coaches have given up some of that responsibility during this current season.
Landry, former quarterback with the Detroit Lions.
Ditka says, I still have my input and we think alike, so it's basically the plan I want on the field. Let's see what they got called here.
Thomas in motion. It's McMahon over the top for the touchdown. Well, it's quite apparent, Merlin, that Bear offensive line is dominating the Dolphins defensive line. McMahon easily getting the score.
Looking right into the face of a quarterback who's never been afraid to put his body on the line, has paid the price for it, and Mike Ditka furious on the sideline. I don't know, maybe McMahon ran his own play.
Butler adds the extra point, and the Chicago Bears, with 9 minutes plus remaining in the first half, lead the Miami Dolphins 21-7 as McMahon over the top for the score. Boy, Ted Nathanson, our director, could have scored on that one.
Today's game is brought to you by Mazda, bringing performance and value together. That's the Mazda way. By AT&T, the right choice. And by new Right Guard Sports Stick from Gillette. Anything less would be uncivilized.
Great city of Chicago, Illinois. The scene, the sun breaking through for the first time midday. Tom Olivadotti, the defensive coach of the Dolphins. A short kick by Butler that is going to go out of bounds, and Miami will play it from the 35-yard line.
Almost a mistake by Jarvis Williams as that ball going outside. If he touches it, that ball will not go out to the 30-yard line as it would otherwise.
Mo Douglas, number 37, closed on the play. Butler not at all pleased with his kickoff.
Butler was hurt last week in that game against the Raiders. Got hit in the knee and is wearing a brace on his left knee. That may be impacting his kicking on the kickoffs, although the first two of his kickoffs went very deep. Since then, he's had trouble.
So Miami trailing 21-7 early in the second quarter. 9 minutes left in the half. Takes over at the 35-yard line. And Marino from the shotgun on first down. Troy Stratford, little guy from Boston College, has 4. Well, that must have been quite a set of roommates at D.C. He roomed with Michael Adams, the 5'11 guard, who is a rocket of a basketball player now with the Denver Nuggets. There's the numbers on the drive. 72 yards in 9 plays. And McMahon, a perfect 3 for 3, 53 yards. 2 of those passes, 35 and 15 yards, to Dennis McKinnon.
Marino playing a game he's played so many times in the past 2 seasons, a scoring contest. He's got to put the points on the board if they want to win.
Ron Davenport can't quite get around the corner, out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Former running back from Louisville has 3 yards. New Orleans, after falling behind 7-0, has scored 17 unanswered. Rams add another touchdown at Green Bay.
Your own, 42.
Third down, 2 for Miami. Four-man rush. Intercepted. No, he didn't pick it off cleanly. Vesty Jackson had a shot at it, but the official, with a good, clear look at the play, immediately waves it off, and Miami will have to punt it. And Dennis McKinnon drifts back.
Obviously a missed read of some kind, as Pruitt not responding as Dan Marino thought he would. That ball going to a point on the field. Pruitt going somewhere else. Roby, who's had 2 bad punts and 2 snaps that were not perfect either, from Brian Kinchin, the rookie. Let's see how they both do on this one.
Roby will have a 13-mile-an-hour breeze behind his back. This one's short again. And down by Pruitt at about the 23-yard line. That ball was going to bounce backwards, so it was a good play by Pruitt to catch it immediately. 34 yards is all. That's about 10 yards under his career average. Timeout with 8:05 remaining in the second quarter.
Snap is good to Roby, but Roby takes the time to adjust the strings. Watch this. Rolls the football with the strings on top before he kicks it. Another poor kick compared to the standards Roby has set for himself.
Brad Muster, the #1 draft pick out of Stanford, gets the call and is dropped for a yard loss. Offerdahl filtering through his alma mater, Western Michigan, surprising the University of Wisconsin yesterday. And for those folks down in Miami, how about the Hurricanes? The way that they manhandled Florida State 31-0. So Miami immediately positioning itself as one of the teams to be considered for another national championship. 2nd and 12.
Chicago's offensive line doing a fine job today. Healthy for a change, or at least semi-healthy.
McMahon is 5 for 7 passing. And improves that to Ron Morris out at the 32. It'll be close to a first down.
If you want to know about the price you pay for playing physical football, look at what happened to the Bears' starting offensive line last year. Off-season surgery to Covert on the shoulder, to Hilgenberg on the shoulder and the elbow, Thayer on the knee, and Van Horn to the shoulder.
Even knocked the knee right off Van Horn's last name there. He got hurt so badly.
Well, Van Horn also had his Achilles operated on last year. Of course, Jimbo Covert not in that lineup. And Van Horn already knows that he's got to go in after the season and have his shoulder operated on again. So the big men take a beating in the trenches.
12 yards plus on the play for a first down. Chicago. Play action, no. Good ball handling by McMahon, who gave it the look of play action, and up the middle for about 4 goes veteran Matt Sui.
Watch the surge of this Chicago Bear offensive line. Look at those white shirts being knocked back. Now that's the kind of thing you look for if you're an offensive line coach. You want to see those people disappearing, rolling up in a pile. Miami's defense, which had made some improvement against the running game, certainly being beaten off the ball today and not doing a job against the running game.
Anderson to the 40-yard line.
Excellent play by Brian Sauché, the nose tackle, who got off Hilgenberg's block and was waiting on the line of scrimmage. I like Sauché, and I like Boza. I think there's some good young players on this Miami team, especially up front in that front 7. But it's going to take them a little time to work it out. Watch as this play develops. You'll see Sauché waiting at the line of scrimmage, number 70 right there. And Anderson has nowhere to go. Sauché there to make the tackle.
Sauché acquired from the Houston Oilers as a free agent a couple of years ago. That is another 3rd and 3 where Miami has not been able to stop McMahon. Wide open Anderson, and a first down at the 50-yard line. Boy, now a defender close to Anderson, who picks up 10 more yards.
A chance to watch the development of the pocket. And we mentioned that Brian Sauché is out here at this tackle position. Watch him come in, but it's good protection as they're able to develop the pocket. They're able to develop the pocket and get inside and get the pass off. McMahon, not pushed or threatened, has time to get that football off to Anderson, who led this team as a receiver as well as a rusher in 1987.
Leading 21-7 with 5 minutes to go in the first half. And out of bounds goes Morris. The pass is good at the 43-yard line. Another 7-yard pickup. Rick Graff, number 99, on the coverage. A reminder, we will be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player, and that will be announced at the conclusion of today's game. Brad Muster comes into the Chicago Bears huddle. Number 25. He and Wendell Davis were #1 picks by the Bears in the draft this spring.
Look at those numbers for McMahon. McMahon most dangerous when you're not coming after him. You have to pressure McMahon to give him trouble, and he has not had great pressure from this defense today.
Completed his last 6 in a row. There goes Muster, quick off the ball. Ditka says, I like the way he moves the pile, and he says, for a big man, I've never seen anyone with softer hands.
one of the other things they talk about with Muster, they say, the one thing we want him to do, obviously, is block and become a good blocker. And you say, well, he's a fullback. He should be a blocker. And yet most of the great backs around the country who are drafted into pro football are the best back at their school. You don't ask them to block, you give them the football. So most of them have not had the kind of experience of blocking, the kind of blocking ability that you need in professional football.
He's a straight-up runner, Muster, but there have been others. One of them, Larry Zonko, joins us on NBC Sports for this football year.
Rick Caceres, one that the Chicago fans would remember. Straight-up runner.
3 yards on that carry by Muster. Offerdahl and Shipp in on the tackle for Miami. 3:43 and the clock running, first half. To the 20-yard line. So Neil Anderson showing that speed as he turns the corner, and he has another 13 yards on his tally sheet.
Attacking the left side of Miami's defense, Hugh Green, number 55. They protected him some in the preseason. They cannot protect him here. 62 Bortz leading that attack. Bortz and Thayer, two very fine pulling guards. And they'll have a chance to pull in front of Neil Anderson, as he loves to get outside. And Bosa, who, as we mentioned, has been nursing a sore ankle for 4 weeks, has gone to the sideline. That is not good news. Jackie Klein, number 98, in his place.
Flag down as Anderson is to the 19-yard line, and you usually see the holding signal when the flag is dropped in that spot.
Back of the play.
That'll cost Chicago 10 yards. At halftime, Frank DeFord with his commentary on the NFL drug enforcement, which has been big news this past week.
Holding. Number 57. Offense. Still first down.
Merlin could barely sleep last night knowing that Conrad Dobler was going to be an interview on the halftime, and we'll have the scores and highlights as well.
Oh, yeah.
Funny, you don't seem to be inviting him to your parties out there on the West Coast, Merlin. I've never seen Conrad on your list. He'll be on at halftime. 31-yard line. The penalty sends McMahon and the Bears back on first down and 20, but they have a 21-7 lead and a 2:47 remaining in this first half. Wendell Davis split to the left, a rookie from LSU. They throw the other way to Thomas Sanders. Inside the 30 to the 25. Offerdahl, who's all over the field for Miami, in on another tackle along with T.J. Turner. Jackie Klein as well.
Jim McMahon, an excellent quarterback at reading the defenses, feeling the flow, knowing when to throw the football. You see what that'll do for you is he's got 9 of 11, but the key to that passing game is the Bears' ability today to establish their running game, to get into the flow offensively. They are able to call on all the artillery they want because things are working for them.
2-minute warning, and Jim McMahon and the Chicago Bears in command, a 21-7 lead, and they have the ball inside the Miami 25. Merlin pointed out the key for the Bears, not only today, the season, the rushing game, and they've certainly done well the first half. They're working on a possible 200-yard rushing game at this rate. 2nd and 13 inside the 25 with a 21-7 lead, Chicago. McMahon dumps it off in the flat, incomplete to Muster. Might have taken his eye off the ball as he looked upfield to see just where Lifford Hobley was. Incomplete, 3rd down and 12 with 1:54 to go in the first half.
McMahon kind of a flick style of passing when he wants to get that ball off in a hurry. And Muster had to wait for that one for a while, and I think got nervous. He tried to take a peek downfield. Heard a little movement behind him.
So Muster comes out, and Anderson back in. Stay with us, NFL Live at halftime. Bob, Ahmad, Paul, and Frank. Most of us will be on our way to Seoul, Korea tomorrow. McMahon. Underneath, wide open is Gentry. He's to the 3-yard line. First and goal. That was an unusual play.
The ability to create, to make the good play out of something that's broken down, to see the open man. This is a planned rollout to the left. McMahon looking downfield. He wants the downfield receiver. He's not there. Just a quick flick to Gentry inside. And from there on, it's the elusiveness of Gentry that makes the play go.
Boy, it looked to be an offensive lineman way downfield for Chicago, but no penalty flag. Actually, there was a lineman farther downfield than Gentry.
Well, you wonder why these quarterbacks get injured. You see it there. McMahon, by the way, with a bad left shoulder. The operation to the right shoulder, which he had a little over a year ago, but now a left shoulder that's causing a problem.
McMahon calls time. 56 seconds left in the half, and Chicago trying to add to an already impressive lead.
Nick, you caught a couple of people downfield. Let's watch it quickly, and we'll close on it just a second. Keep it going, keep it going. Freezer right there. Look how far down those two offensive linemen. 5 yards downfield. They're only allowed 2 yards, but the officials did not see that. Bears got away with one there.
And Gentry then peeling back and takes it down to the 2-yard line. A long half.
I don't know what you tell your defense. Boy, it is going to be a long day if they don't come out and play better football. They started this slide last week against Minnesota. It continues here against the Bears today.
Anderson and the rookie Muster behind McMahon. And McMahon. He's got another touchdown. Offerdahl got a piece of him, but McMahon stumbles in for his second score.
Little headbutt by McMahon with Hilgenberg as center. Ditka one time outlawed that. Afraid that McMahon might get himself hurt if he was headbutting with his offensive lineman, but he still likes to celebrate that way. This certainly has been a happy first half for the Chicago offense.
And Butler kicks the extra point, and Chicago with a 28-7 lead. 51 seconds remain for Dan Marino in the half.
I've got to believe that this is as tough a play in short yardage as there is. It's a bootleg. McMahon with the option to pass or run. Gets good blocking out in front by a center, Hilgenberg, and all kinds of room. Little spike of the ball right here behind him. Keep it running. Maybe we can see the headbutt with Hilgenberg. Yeah, another angle. Maybe we'll see the latter part of that play.
Now McMahon had the option not only of running or passing, so the defense had to play an honest-looking pass. And McMahon joins Neil Anderson with his second touchdown of the first half.
There's the spike behind. Now let's... Whoops. Come on, guys.
Ran out of tape. We ran out of tape.
Oh, okay.
78 yards and 13 plays. And the Dolphins haven't shown that they can stop Chicago in this first half.
You see the headband that McMahon is wearing with nothing on the headband. McMahon, as you'll remember, fined by the commissioner for selling the advertising space on that headband. Perhaps has learned his lesson there, although he is still a free spirit.
They say he's been more in control throughout this summer, a much more serious side McMahon displayed, and I believe that with a younger team, McMahon has to show that kind of leadership. He can still have fun, but it's not the same kind of quarterback we'd seen in previous years. Kick into the wedge, and Bruce Hardy takes it out to the 40 and the 42-yard line. So good position for Dan Marino with 44 seconds left in the half. Maurice Douglas made the tackle. Halftime already in those games. New Orleans, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh, the home teams leading. Cincinnati has tied Phoenix at the half, and the Rams with a 3-touchdown lead at Green Bay. Philadelphia stomping on the Buccaneers in their home opener at Tampa Bay, and Detroit has a 10-3 lead against Atlanta at the half.
Big pressure on Marino here, playing catch-up football already. Needs some points on the board before they go in.
No flag as Bestie Jackson with a coverage on Mark Duper.
Dick, we talked about William Perry and his weight problems and eating disorder, which he apparently is working pretty well to combat as you see him in the lineup. And coming late as he did to camp, one of the concerns is, of course, conditioning. A cool day like today is not as difficult as it would be in the heat. But late in the game, we'd still expect to see him tire. And, in fact, probably we'll see him spelled quite a bit in there today by Al Harris to give him a little time. But he is a force and has to be dealt with.
Now on the outside, he's going to make some tight ends lose some sleep. Down the middle to Stratford and incomplete. Actually goes to the sidelines, and Marino not happy with the way Stratford ran his route.
The coverage to David Tate.
Chance to watch a little stunt being developed on the left-hand side of the line. We talked about William Perry. Perry will come in behind his tackle, and you'll watch the tackle drifting to the outside. Just a chance to watch a typical stunt from these two. Well, we get this thing to clear a little bit. There we go. Steve McMichael, 76, breaking outside. William Perry breaking inside.
Marino only 4 for 12 in this first half. Down the middle, incomplete. Stratford was the closest Dolphin. And a 4 for 13 first half for Marino. So, Merlin, you had two keys in this half. One was the pressure on Marino, and certainly the Bears have mustered enough that he's not been on target. And the other was the rushing game of the Bears, and they have run at will against the Miami defense.
Total yardage dramatically, and you saw the hard jaws of Don Shula. He'll look holes through you when things are not going well, and to say they're not going well here would be an understatement.
Well, he had an 8-8 season 2 years ago, 8-7 last year, and Roby hits this one, a beauty. Spiral that goes into the end zone, and the Bears will have it with 18 seconds left at their 20-yard line. Flag is down. Against Miami, so Chicago will probably take the ball at the 20. We'll see.
Illegal motion, offense, decline, first down on the 20.
I think Ditka very happy to accept that 28-7 lead and just carry it into the locker room with 18 seconds. They just have to turn the clock on and watch it tick down.
Inducted into the Hall of Fame at Canton, Ohio this summer, Mike Ditka, the fiery head coach of the Bears, the first tight end to be so honored. And Ed O'Bradovich, his former teammate, presented him in Canton. He said, I picked him because, well, he said, I really wish my high school coach would have been alive, or Coach Hallis.
Coach, yeah.
But since they have passed on, he picked a man. He said, I wanted to be honest about me, to tell it the way it was. So O'Bradovich got the call.
O'Bradovich definitely would do that. One play, and we'll be out of this half.
And Muster, Stewie, rather, a veteran from Penn State, gets about 3. And no indication that either team wants to run another play. The end of the half, and the fans in Chicago loved what they saw. To show you how Chicago dominated the first half, and particularly the second quarter, Miami ran only 6 plays for 8 yards in the second period, and Chicago leaves with a 3-touchdown lead, 28-7. So from Soldier Field in Chicago, as we wait for NFL Live, first a word from the National Football League. By Budweiser, the king of beers, and Miami will send it to Chicago first, with the Bears leading 28-7. Good high kick by Fuad Revez. Dennis Gentry will take it out on the 20-yard line. And let's look at the comparison of the two quarterbacks in the first half. Marino and McMahon both threw the ball 13 times. McMahon 10 of 13, plus 2 rushing touchdowns, and more than 2 to 1 in yards. Marino did have the 1 touchdown throw to Mark Clayton. But Marino with a handicap of playing and pitching from behind, where McMahon and his team very much in control.
The other handicap strapped on Marino's back is a Dolphin defense that has yet to arrive for this ball game.
Neil Anderson working on a big rushing afternoon at halfback with Matt Suey fullback behind McMahon. It's Suey for 3. Other first half statistics, and obviously favoring the Bears. Look at the time of possession, the bottom column, 21.5 minutes to 8.5.
First downs, 17 first downs to 4. And those rushing yards, suspect too. 23 yards of the Dolphins rushing coming from one play by Jim Jensen on a 3rd down run. So those stats even more one-sided than they would appear in the first half. I think the Dolphins happy there is a second half in this ball game.
Now you rush for 100 yards, you have a good chance to win, which the Bears already have. If you rush for 200 yards, it's almost impossible to lose. Anderson wisely ducks out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Hugh Green and William Judson, the Miami defenders. It'll be 3rd down and 2.
Excuse me, Dick. Green, who had been such a factor early in his career at Tampa Bay, simply not effective in this ball game here today, and that has to be a real concern. There's Hugh Green. He rehabilitated a knee, came back last year, hurt it again, rehabilitated that knee again, but so far in this ball game has really not been effective at the point of attack in shutting things down.
Rarely Miami has stopped Chicago on 3rd down. Anderson, and they don't stop him this time. Picks up 4, needed only 2, and another series of downs for the Bears. Green in on the tackle along with Jackie Shipp. And for those of you around the country, stay with us. The second half of our NBC doubleheader. Some dandies ahead. Seattle at Denver. Early bragging rights in the tough AFC West. The Jets are at New England. The Chargers at the Coliseum in Los Angeles against the Raiders. The Raiders going to get Jay Schrader. Stronger rumors that he'll go to Los Angeles. Houston, Indianapolis. That'll decide the early first place positioning of 2 teams that made the playoffs last year. First down, McMahon, play action, and then the throw to Suey. Tackle by Judson. And I believe they had blown it dead back at the 35, so Judson held on as long as he could. Suey had him outweighed by about 15 pounds.
Blow this ball dead and take it back to the spot. Little play action again, and when the running game is going, we mentioned it, these Bears get so tough. Here's the tackle. It looks like it's all over. The play is whistled dead at that point, and even though Suey breaks away, I think maybe Judson let go because he heard the whistle.
But no one else there to help Judson out.
Not a lot of white shirts over there. Oh, nice play by Brian Sauché in the middle. There haven't been many of those defensive gems today, but he just bashed Hilgenberg, knocked him aside, and made an excellent tackle on the nose. Look at it at ground level. You'll see Hilgenberg out first. Well, we lost him, but there's Sauché. Hilgenberg just discarded by Sauché with one of the quicker nose tackles in the league.
From Northwestern Oklahoma State, a 275-pounder. He can play on the nose and will play outside in pass situations, which this is. 3rd and 5, shotgun McMahon. Another wide open receiver, Ron Morris, to the 48-yard line, and another Chicago first down.
The Miami Dolphins only sacked quarterbacks 21 times back in 1987. And there's absolutely no pressure on McMahon here. Jim has all day to stand back in that shotgun. Look at him. No pressure, no pressure. I think maybe I could play quarterback if they didn't rush me.
The door wide open. There's no one even in his face. Clear path to no matter where he wanted to throw it. An excellent example from behind him, that camera shot. So near midfield, another first down, Chicago. Rookie tight end Thornton in motion. McMahon. And it's Dennis McKinnon. Another 17 yards. Paul Langford, the defender for Miami.
So difficult to cover the receivers with their great quickness when you've got all the time in the world. And it's right back to that. Little play action again. And Miami with no one within about 3 yards. Langford turned all the way around. Olivadotti felt that this defense was improving. Last week they were really horrible against Minnesota. And they've continued that same kind of play into this ball game, and you'd think they could turn it around at the half. Not so, if this drive is any indication.
28-7, the Bears lead. Anderson tripped up. Good penetration by John Offerdahl, and he, along with Sauché, the two standouts, if you could call that, in a defense that hasn't really done much to stop Chicago. The 49ers have tied the game at the Superdome. Buffalo still leads a high-scoring Minnesota team, and Pittsburgh by 10 over Dallas. Phoenix now regains the lead at Cincinnati, and the Rams with a 21-0 advantage up at Green Bay. Philadelphia has its first win. They are going to beat Tampa Bay.
Philadelphia's going to be tough. They're going to be tough in that Eastern Division of the NFC.
And we heard Bill Parcells, the Giants coach, say that last week when we did the Cleveland game with the Giants. Well, finally, McMahon does not have an incomplete pass. Offerdahl on the coverage of Neil Anderson.
And finally, a little bit of pressure in there. Rick Graff coming on off the left side. McMahon having to throw a little early, but certainly been a comfortable day for Jim McMahon and this Bear offense so far. I've shown you a couple of examples of no pressure. Graff coming right side of your screen, 99, trying to drive over his man, able to at least get some action in the face of Jim McMahon.
See, the Dolphins have stopped the Bears only once on third down in this game. Miami offside. A free play for McMahon. Incomplete on the pass, but they'll get 5 yards on the penalty anyway.
Number 99, Rick Graff, just jumping the gun as he dropped down from his linebacking position to that down position. There he is, middle of your screen, number 99. And it's frustration for this defense. They want to do something right.
Defense, number 99, third down.
Graff, number 99, said last year he made so many mistakes. He had his butt chewed out so much. He said there are many weeks he couldn't sit down. It's liable to be sore again tomorrow.
Well, let me make a prediction, and this would be a good time to do it. Even though this defense is playing horribly today, I think by mid-season, this Dolphin defense is going to be a much, much better defense. Now, you can bring that one back and park it on my shoulder halfway through the year, and we'll look at it. They are not that defense today.
5 yards closer to a first down after Graff's offside, and they're offside again. Oh, my. Won't matter. Anderson has the first down at the 22-yard line.
Dick, you want to talk about one of the things that we enjoy talking about are underrated players, and certainly in terms of what they can do for an offensive line, these two Bear offensive guards I think are underrated. Bortz, who doesn't get a great deal of recognition, a fine pulling guard leading on that play, and 57 Thayer coming behind him, who has gotten some recognition, an equally fine guard, and both of them out in front of that play. They're much responsible for the success of that running game here today, in particular on the outside, getting in front of Anderson to clear the way.
And another nice story in that line, along with the Pro Bowl center Jay Hilgenberg, is the left tackle John Wojciechowski from Michigan State, a free agent pick who was a replacement player last year. I'll tell you more of his story, how close he came to be in a science classroom rather than in a football uniform. First down, they take the play of 7 yards rather than the penalty against Miami. Calvin Thomas, the biggest of the Bear running backs, is down to the 20-yard line. Let's go back to Wojciechowski, number 73. Last year, he figured, well, 86, free agent try with Buffalo, couldn't make it. Last year, he was cut again. He was preparing to teach science in Michigan when the players went on strike. There's Wojciechowski at 6'4" and 270. And the Bears brought him back, played so well, he stayed on the club, and now Mike Ditka says, you know, this guy is so good that he's going to put pressure on those two guards you talked about, Bortz and Thayer. He thinks he's even better inside at guard.
He'll be a better guard, but I don't think you move one of those guys out too quickly. He's a good position guy, good angle guy, smart blocker, really uses his head in that offensive line.
2nd down, 8, Chicago, leading 28-7. McMahon, he's got a sack and a fumble. And the Bears recover. They say he was down. Referee Pat Haggerty down on one knee and patting the turf to say that he had already whistled it dead, that McMahon was down, no fumble, but a sack for the Dolphins, and that is news.
News as the pressure comes, I believe, from the left-hand side. 99 Graff. It's a blitz from 55. Green on this side. 70. Soche. Graff second. Green is also in there late. But it's Soche from the nose, and I mentioned earlier that he is very, very quick. He's blown by Hilgenberg several times early in this ball game. And as is always true, as ugly as the score is, the defense has not played as badly individually as they seem to have played as a unit.
3rd and long from outside the 25. And a run to Anderson. Twisting to the 22-yard line, and on comes Kevin Butler and the field goal unit. Butler, who has hit 18 in a row from inside the 40-yard line, so he has quite a streak going, and this one will be, well, right about at 40 yards. Remember, next week, along with football on Sunday, on Saturday, there's your doubleheader. The Detroits are at New York, and the Cubs will play the Cardinals. 2 o'clock Eastern Time, our baseball game of the week. This will be just outside the 40-yard line for Butler. Technically 40, but it'll be spotted at the 40.5. And Butler is wide to the right. That ball dying and sailing off to the right-hand side. So one of the few times today the Bears denied points. Timeout. 7 minutes and 37 seconds. So a long time-consuming drive for Chicago. And the score remains 28-7 Bears. With Merlin Olsen, Dick Enberg at Soldier Field, Chicago. We're in the middle of the 3rd quarter. The Miami Dolphins trailing the Chicago Bears 28-7. Another penalty as the Dolphins pull off the line of scrimmage. And that's the one aspect of Don Shula's Miami team through the years that has been so consistent. No penalties, but along with play that has not been solid defensively, his team has made a lot of mistakes today. And the key to beating Marino in Miami is don't let Marino have a chance to be on the field, and the Bears running game has done just that. Over 20 minutes more they've had the ball than the Dolphins.
You see the word possession, and we talked at the beginning of this game about possession. When you possess the football, you put Marino on that sideline, on the bench.
1st and 15 after the penalty. Out of the backfield, Ron Davenport. And Davenport twisted down at the 32-yard line. Good low hit by Vesty Jackson. Ron Rivera finishing him off.
Knocked down by Vesty Jackson.
Here's the kick by Butler through the clouds of Illinois. Just wide to the right side. To the left as you look at it from the end zone camera. They're going to measure here now, and as we look for the measurement, let's just follow the defensive signals. They're signaled in to Mike Singletary, number 50.
Singletary, 5 straight Pro Bowl appearances, and of course the anchor of this Bear defense. Very smart, tough football player. You see him in there explaining something inside to Rivera, and with 2 new rookies, one on each side. Not rookies, because Rivera's been around for a long time, but Morrissey's been around. But in terms of starting, these guys have not really had a lot of flying time. But even then, Singletary says very simply, he says, I can't change my job. I've got to do my job first before I help anyone else. And his job, of course, calling the defensive signals, calling the defensive audible.
Not quite a first down. 2nd and less than a yard for Marino. To the sidelines and complete. That's another drop by Duper.
Ball there for a first down, right into the chest and hands of Mark Duper.
That'll be 3rd and inches for Miami. 49ers trailing by a touchdown have now scored 2 touchdowns without an answer from the Saints to take the lead. Buffalo still hanging on. Cincinnati has tied Phoenix. And Detroit apparently going to get off to a good start at home. 24-3 against the Falcons. Play action. Reno downfield to Stratford. Incomplete. Sean Gale, 23 there for the Bears. As Miami going for a touchdown on 3rd and short. Now let's see if this stage in the game with 6:50 left in the third, if Shula will gamble deep in his own end, down by 3 touchdowns. Nope, he's going to send his punting team on.
You see the quote, and of course the backup visual that we did not have the first down there. So close to being a catchable pass. Shula's still the kind of coach who's going to play the odds, and he knows that the odds are better even with this much time. Dan Marino can still put 3 or 4 touchdowns in the game if they get cranky.
But Marino didn't play the odds on 3rd and short. He could have gone for a safety valve and gotten the first down. They elected to go for it all. McKinnon down at the 29-yard line. 47-yard punt, 8 yards on the return, and the timeout with 6.5 minutes remaining in the third. I'm sure some second guessing around the country, and certainly even on the sidelines after Miami didn't run the ball to try to pick up the first down.
Well, this is the toughest defense to run against in the NFL, and Miami has only made 20 yards rushing aside from Jensen's 23-yard carry. So that'll tell you why they're reluctant to run the football.
Well, the Bears aren't. Here comes Thomas Sanders. Across the 35-yard line for a pickup of 6 yards. Jarvis Williams, the rookie safety, on the tackle, and Sanders slow getting back to his feet.
Ditka could not have written this script more perfectly. What he wanted was an opportunity to reestablish the continuity of the running game and the consistency that they feel they need to have if they're going to continue on into the season. 8 rushes, 43 yards, and a look at the other side of the coin. 34 rushes, 169 yards. We're not even through the third quarter yet.
Yeah, they're working on that 200-yard game. They've been right on that course from the first period. 6 minutes remain in the third. 28-7. The Bears lead. It led throughout. Neil Anderson wrestling his way to the 40, and that'll be good for another Bear first down. T.J. Turner, who weighs about 70 pounds more, but Anderson with those good, powerful legs and able to carry Turner for an extra yard and the first down. And Anderson, we saw how brilliant he was last year as he actually stole a lot of the limelight from Walter Payton, but Payton in his swan song season, Anderson had to stay in the shadow, although he indeed was the better player of the two throughout the course of the year until hurt late in the season.
One of the problems the Bears had running the football last year is that you had 2 men who primarily were runners, not blockers in the backfield together. You also did not have the powerful tight end in there to give you a chance to get outside. So the Bears, with their injury problems, added to that. Not tough on the run last year.
Anderson to the 44-yard line, a gain of about 6. Boza and Soche in on the tackle, almost 5 more yards. Mike Ditka, the era of Payton is over. If we needed to go to somebody, we called on Walter. He got it done. And have to dial a different number now. Well, number 35 isn't too bad.
He's found one. At least the indications today are that Anderson is paying back the confidence that was he's been here as the heir apparent, and he certainly stepped into that role today.
89 yards currently for Anderson, who played at Florida. Boy, they've got a run of great backs there. Lorenzo Hampton, James Jones, John L. Williams up at Seattle. Anderson, all number 1 draft picks for the Gators. Calvin Thomas has another first down as he cuts inside to the 47 of Miami. 8 more yards. Thomas, the 245-pounder from Illinois.
Look at the huge thighs on Thomas. He is a powerful man. You see the size of those legs. Those are the kind of drivers that get you yardage. Again, you watch him come in behind the little trap block. Just a little skip and stutter there. The pursuit was not there from the inside, and he's into the secondary before anybody gets a shot at him.
Clock running, 3:45 left in the third quarter. Chicago leads by 21. Anderson. And Offerdahl over to make the tackle at the 41-yard line. Judson with an assist. 6 more yards.
Complete. Brought down by Offerdahl.
I said it, Dick, at the first of the game that when you have the opportunity to establish your running game, when you get into the flow as the Chicago Bears have today of being able to go anytime they want to that running play and get 4 or 5 yards, then the quarterback has the great luxury of being able to call anything he wants to call. McMahon is at his best when he doesn't have the heat on him, and he hasn't had that heat on him today at all. They've been lucky to get anybody in there in his face even.
And the passes he has thrown really low risk. He hadn't had to take any chances. Thomas Sanders, he strips away at that Miami defense and is all the way to the 30. Another first down. Sanders would be a starter on a lot of teams. 203-pounder now in his 4th year from Texas A&M. As we said before, 3 years. He has 450 yards total rushing, an average of 6 yards a carry.
Well, and that average holding up today, he's 5 yards a carry, almost up to his average on today. And I think Ditka's plan is to alternate Anderson and Sanders to keep both of them fresh. Of course, Shula doing the same thing with Troy Stratford and Lorenzo Hampton. His 2 backs on the other side. The numbers not quite as productive today as Chicago's.
Wendell Davis is at the top of your picture from LSU. Anxious to see if he'll get his first NFL catch, but when it's working on the ground, why take a chance? Jackie Schiff, the linebacker, and Bosa, the defensive end, able to stuff the ball carrier Suey on that play. But even at that, a pickup of 2 or 3. Well, that offensive line, Merlin, you can appreciate it. You've had to battle against many. Hilgenberg with Bortz and Thayer at guard, Wojciechowski and Van Horn the tackles. Thomas wears a contact lens, helping him there. Let's just watch the surge this time. Morris knocked away by Langford at the last minute. Good play by Paul Langford, number 44, who was a fine hurdler in his day. In fact, earlier in his youth ran against Edwin Moses, who'll be going for his 3rd gold in Seoul.
I mentioned there are good plays even in the losing effort. Here's one by Langford, who senses that the ball is coming down and has good position, turned and knocked that ball away.
So close. No problem being greedy. 28-7, you never have enough. Dolphins unable to pick up a 3rd down conversion, and Chicago all but 2. 3rd and 6. Kozlowski, number 88, couldn't quite get there as he was bumped off course. And let's see what Ditka's call will be. Will he try the long field goal? In case you folks down in Miami, that sounded familiar. Of course, Glenn Kozlowski, the wide receiver, 88, is the younger brother of Mike, who played safety, defensive back for the Dolphins very successfully and just recently retired. This will be a 43 or 44-yard attempt by Butler.
Butler, who has some problems outside the 40, he has not missed, did not miss last year inside the 40, is a punch-style kicker. And he has a little bit of a rhythm problem when you get him outside that 40-yard line.
This will be a 45-yard attempt.
No problem. Well, yes. Hooked it. Hooked it. I was going to say no problem there. Watch him as he tends to punch and stop.
There's a timeout.
Down, punches the football, and then hops.
So he faded the first one to the right from 40, and this one from 44 slides to the left. No good. Just 53 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Bears 28, Dolphins 7. And Dan Marino takes over at his own 27-yard line. Over the middle. Oh, what a catch at the 46-yard line. It hit Rivera, the linebacker, and caromed right into the arms of the tight end, Hardy. And on that play, Marino gets 19.
Well, maybe that's what they need, is a few breaks to get this thing going. That ball falls harmlessly to the ground because it's not where Hardy can catch it unless Rivera taps it. Looks like it's dropping down and bounces right into the hands. I don't know that Rivera saw that. Just spins around. Watch it. Yes, he did. He did see it. Tried to get his hands on it. In the process, just slowed it down enough so Hardy could get his hands on it, pull it down for the reception.
Only the second completion for Marino in this third quarter.
Perry's offsides on the far side of the field, and that'll give Miami a 5-yard gain on the play, and Marino knew he had a free play.
Back on the play.
Offside. Defense. Number 72.
Tough to miss the refrigerator as he leans across that neutral zone.
Well, he's just jumping. And again, you know, he's going to play better as this year goes on. Ditka said yesterday he's close to the weight they wanted him to come into camp at, and that means he's hovering around the 330 mark. They'd like him down around 300, 305 pounds, and if he can get down there and stay there, he becomes a real force.
Hadn't been there since junior high school. First and 5 at the 50 with 3 seconds left in the third quarter, and a rare running play as Troy Stratford gets about 4 yards at the end of the third quarter here in Chicago. With the score, the hometown Bears 28, the Dolphins 7. Back after these messages from your local station. For the fans of Chicago, so far a solid start in this 1988 season with a 28-7 lead. 2 weeks from now, we'll be in the midst of our Olympic coverage, Merlin, and you're going to be busy with some Hall of Fame announcers.
Well, some good friends coming back, some names that I know folks out there will be pleased to see. Kurt Gowdy, I'll have a chance to work with Kurt a little bit. Ray Scott will be coming back. Chuck Thompson, with producer Larry Cirillo, Teddy Nathanson going along with you and so many of our friends to Korea. I'll miss that, too.
Marino gunning sidearm to Stratford, who picks up the first down inside the Chicago 40 on the first play of the fourth quarter. An NFL update. Let's go to Gail Gardner in New York.
Thank you, Dick. A quick update on a tight race in the AL East. Tigers with a slim 1-game lead over the Red Sox. In Detroit, Brewers' B.J. Sturhoff with a 3-run homer. Paul Molitor added a solo shot. 4-0 Brewers over the Tigers. Sox Angels, Yanks Oakland later today. Let's go back to Chicago. Dick and Merlin.
All right, Gail, and boy, is anyone playing better ball in the American League than the Milwaukee Brewers? That's starting to get sudsy. Marino, first down play to Hardy, the tight end. He's at the 25 and a first down. And he avoided what appeared to be a vicious collision. Well, simply in time of possession and yardage, that tells the whole story.
Look at that time of possession. And again, it's been said for years, the best way to control Dan Marino is not to let him on the field. And that's exactly what the Bears have done with their rushing game today, as they have been able to control the clock and Miami's defense.
Their fans trying to encourage the defense to stop Marino. 28-7 here, start of the fourth quarter. Fumble on the handoff, and the Bears get it. Jim Morrissey.
An opportunity to gather some confidence for Jim Morrissey, who stepped in for the injured Otis Wilson. Let's watch him on that last play. He's coming on the blitz. He sees the ball bouncing away from Clayton, and he's right there to pounce on top of it.
And a day of misery in Chicago for the Dolphins continues. It was a reverse, and Troy Stratford, in trying to collect the ball from Marino and hand it off to Clayton, fumbles it. Morrissey recovers for Chicago at the 41. And a possible scoring threat for Miami is doused. 28-7, the Bears lead it. Anderson in motion, the toss to Matsui. big fullback, out to about the 43-yard line.
Here's a chance to look at that. Stratford, who had fumbling problems during the last season, did so many things well, but had a tendency to drop the football in some critical situations. But as he was coming, here's the play. Now Clayton is coming inside in motion. He'll break to the outside, and there you saw Stratford losing the handle on the football, not handing it to Clayton, and Morrissey capitalizing on the miscue.
Second down. And 8 for the Bears. They send Anderson way out to the left this time and bring McKinnon in motion. Deep to Gentry. He had a step on Langford. Incomplete down at the 10-yard line.
We talked a little bit earlier about Brian Sauché. Watch how quickly he gets by the center here, Jay Hilgenberg. Middle of your screen, 63-70. Look how quickly he's around him. Hilgenberg, who had that right elbow operated on and who still can't get that arm straightened out, has trouble with the very quick nose tackle. And without the help of his guard, would have lost him onto the quarterback on that play.
Mark Bortz picked up Sauché. Third down. And long for McMahon out of the shotgun. And off to Anderson. He's got blockers. And another Bear first down in Miami territory inside the 45. A dozen more for Neil Anderson. The other score is San Francisco. Joe Montana with a couple of touchdown passes in the second half for the lead at New Orleans. Buffalo 10 points in front of Minnesota. Watch out for the Bills. Pittsburgh a 10-point advantage against the Cowboys. Cincinnati, trailing most of the game, are tied, finally takes the lead against Phoenix, and the Rams with a 31-point advantage. Philadelphia apparently with a win in the bank, and Detroit a 14-point lead against Atlanta. Here it's 28-7 Chicago. Good day for the home teams in the season openers. Anderson to the 40. A gain of 4. Rick Graff, who played at nearby Wisconsin, and Offerdahl in on the play. Offerdahl grew up right near the University of Wisconsin in a suburb of Madison.
No one works harder than number 56, John Offerdahl. It's earned him a couple of trips to the Pro Bowl. Working right there on Wojciechowski. That's a piece. Graff coming all the way from the offside. Something he does well, offside pursuit. But again, there have not been many bright spots for this Miami defense, and I'm sure they're terribly embarrassed by the way they played here today.
Sanders joins Suey in the backfield. And it's Sanders on the call. Flag down. And Sanders out of bounds at the 32. T.J. Turner trailing the play. Jarvis Williams coming up to meet it along with Mark Brown now in at linebacker.
I think a call on Thornton here for holding on Rick Graff. Young tight end trying to clamp down the wrong time. That'll tell you something.
This telecast presented by authority of the National Football League is intended for the private use of our audience.
Still second down.
It is against the rookie tight end Thornton. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Chicago Bears and the National Football League is prohibited. This game is the property of the National Football League, Miami Dolphins, and Chicago Bears. All rights reserved.
Ditka very pleased with the progress that Thornton has made, though, and the word is here that he will be the starter and will be probably the most dramatic tight end they've had since that man himself, since Ditka was prowling here.
That's what Jim Dooley, the former Bear, has said, the best tight end for the Bears since Ditka was here. Intended for Suey over the middle, incomplete. The Bears, meanwhile, their rushing yardage is up to 189 yards, 11 more for a 200-yard day on the ground against Miami.
That play made by Hugh Green, who was there, and we have not given Hugh many calls on the day. Once you're into that injury cycle, and speaking about Green, very hard to get out of it. I will be surprised if he's able to finish this season without an injury, because it psychologically does something to the way you play the game. And I've known so many players after the serious injury who come back and who are just unable to get out of the habit of protecting themselves, and sadly enough, that's how you get hurt again.
Flag down and crossed by one of the officials deep downfield. Delay of game.
Delay.
Of course, the 45-second clock now. And the second half of our doubleheader. So stay with us here on NBC. Some games of considerable interest. Seattle at Denver being one of those. Most of you will see that game. Others of you, the Jets at New England. The Raiders host San Diego. Houston at Indianapolis. And the Browns, team that many are picking as the AFC champion of this year, at Kansas City. Chiefs have won 5 straight home openers. That's a current record. 3rd and 21. So here's a 3rd down that really will challenge the Bears. They stay on the ground to Anderson. And he's to the Miami 49, tripped up by Rodney Thomas, the rookie from BYU, number 45. And only the second time of the game the Bears punting team comes on the field. .9:56 the clock running. Scott Schwades drifts back to the 10-yard line as Brian Wagner, who didn't get his punt away. That led to the only Miami score when the snap from Maddox was off the mark. Maddox to snap on this one. And Wagner's first punt of the game to Schwades at the 6. Down at the 10. Number 58 making the tackle along with Glenn Kozlowski. 58 is Greg Clark, who is a fine linebacker for the Arizona State. 66,000 plus at Soldier Field in Chicago. They've cheered the Bears throughout this afternoon. 28-7, Chicago leads it, and Dan Marino takes over on his own 10-yard line with 9.5 minutes left in the game.
Intercepted by Ron Rivera at the 12-yard line with flags down. Did Rivera interfere before the interception? I think they may have gotten there just a little too quick, but it's still a stellar play by Rivera. And they're going to have a lot of those this year. I mentioned the question mark on Rivera, not his ability to play the run, but his ability to cover the zones and to play against the passing game. Oh, he made the fine play, but interfered with the receiver prior to the interception. Dave Duerson on the blitz on that last play. Here he is, number 59, and you see him right. Well, Troy Stratford saying, wait a minute, who got a hold of my shirt back there? You know, it's a lot easier for the players when they didn't have these cameras and tape. I mean, you could deny it. Ooh, I didn't touch him. I didn't hold him. So the penalty amounts to 3 yards, the interference penalty, but it's a first down at the 13. Clayton threw his hands incomplete, and while Marino has not had a great day and he was under pressure throwing that one, his receivers have not exactly been kind to him. Clayton will catch that ball often during the course of the year. Duper's had a couple of drops, and maybe the most important miss of the day was early when Pruitt let a touchdown go right through his fingertips. Getting off to a good start, so important, and that might have given Miami a chance to get some momentum. 9:09 left, fourth quarter. Pruitt and Clayton to the right. Underneath to Jensen. Short yardage to the 17-yard line. Well covered by Mike Singletary. Jensen, quite a story, however. The fact that this man from Boston University, where he quarterbacked the Terriers, and he was a good one, too. 17-3, one tie in his years there. He broke fabled Harry Aganis' records, many of them. He just found a way to play in the NFL, a special teamer, and now apparently he's going to be a key man in that shotgun whenever they go Marino shotgun. Well, his credo is the more things you can do, the more valuable you are. And he can do a lot of things. Well, he shows up the depth chart, that's for sure. Marino 9 for 21. Incomplete. There's the depth chart that is passed out. And if you look at the right-hand side of the depth chart, you'll see 11, 11, 11, 11. Backup quarterback, backup running back, backup fullback, backup wide receiver, also the backup snapper. And here he is on special teams as well, and was selected or named by Shula, the special teams captain this year. Personal protector for the punter in there on special teams. Dennis McKinnon backs up the Bears 40. Roby short. Has not kicked well today. Gets the roll on that one, and a gamble by McKinnon. And he's out of bounds at the Miami 48-yard line. Oh, is he quick. Dennis McKinnon. John Offerdahl in on another play for Miami. 40 yards on the punt. The Bears apparently will get off to a good start at teams in their division. That's Minnesota, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Detroit. Only one loss in 23 games. And, of course, that means those two losses a season to those clubs. One of the reasons why that schedule appears to be so easy. That's Van Horn, Keith Van Horn.
You don't want to get anybody hurt at that tackle position. You already have Jimbo Colbert recuperating from back surgery, and Paul Blair, the backup tackle, off with knee surgery. We'll need another tackle to go down. Ren T in there. Caesar Ren T
from Oklahoma. McMahon, and deflected by Rick Graff, who just turned at the right time. Ron Morris was the intended receiver.
Recovered to Graff. 3rd and 7.
Well, I think every team that has played poorly in the preseason would say that, but the Chicago Bears have done it here today. And the things that Shula talked about, or not Shula, but Ditka talked about being so important, getting that running game going, establishing the continuity, and starting to get the takeaways on defense, and not turning the ball over. They've done all of those things in this game today.
Delay to Gentry, 35, and somersaults to the 30. Hobley made the tackle, and the Bears are over 200 yards rushing. 214 yards today on the ground.
Dennis Gentry, who used to earn his living as a running back, now a wide receiver, still knows how to run that draw play, explosive acceleration, and now airborne. Whoa. Some gymnastics there. You'll see that one over in Korea, Dick.
That's right. 5'8" is Gentry. And he might get a couple of points taken off his form on that.
he'll draw some applause from Ditka for that, I'm sure.
Sanders to the 25, maybe the 24. And a big weekend ahead on NBC on Saturday. You'll see either the Tigers-Yankees or Cubs-Cardinals here in the final weeks of the baseball year. Saturday, 2 o'clock. And then, of course, on Sunday, a full schedule of NFL games here on the home of the Summer Olympics. Well, it's been a track meet for the Bears. And Mike Ditka has used his relay runners to rush for well over 200 yards today. With Sanders. And it's Thomas. Boy, he's a big, strong back. He's to the 20 and close to another first down. And I had that feeling we were close to another ticket.
Well, let's hope that some of these defenses are playing better than Miami's.
Some interesting games there. All three of those close. The Rams at Green Bay, not so close, and Philadelphia, Tampa Bay.
Green Bay's defense must be playing like Miami's today.
Now they measure for first down on either be 3rd and inches or another first down. It is short, apparently. With 5:21 to go. Eric Kumaro, the first-round draft pick of the Dolphins, comes in on 3rd and short.
And it's going to be a tough week for those who will listen to Don Shula. There's Kumerow from Ohio State, 6'7" and 260.
Has 2 dislocated fingers on his right hand, and he said they're feeling better. You see the right hand tucked in there with a cast on it. The tape on the left hand, that's just precautionary. But he has a cast on those 2 dislocated fingers, and those are the most, perhaps, he's right-handed anyway. He uses those fingers to grab and pull to the outside. It really makes it very difficult for him to play his position. He also gets down with that right hand down in his stance. Again, a very difficult thing.
3rd and inches. Ooh, Sanders didn't appear to make it.
I don't think he made it. Turned him back.
And Kumerow was right there at the point of attack.
Kumerow in that up position as he played in college. Inside, and he turned Sanders around, pointed in the other direction. Well, Ditka, with that huge lead, can do almost anything he wants to do, and he's elected to go for it. Thornton into power block, and we said it earlier, that addition allows this team to go outside much more effectively than they did last year.
So McMahon, to be sure, doesn't want to make a mistake. Calls time with 4 minutes and 31 seconds remaining, and the Bears with a 21-point lead. In case you've just joined us, here's how the scoring developed. Neil Anderson scored early on a short run and then added another in the first quarter to give the Bears a 14-0 lead. Mark Clayton, the only Miami scorer, on a 20-yard. The sound that those automatic typewriters make, just like chewing up corn, that's about the way this Chicago Bear running game has worked against Miami. Just clickety click click, and Thomas Sanders with a 20-yard score. That'll get that average up with his career 6.
The extra point.
And it's 34-7 as Butler tries the point after. Blocked. Looked like Sauché got in there. Pruitt was there as well, but Sauché, who has played well, is able to knock away the PAT.
Let's go back to that touchdown. Trap play on the inside, and I believe that's Becker in there now at guard. Watch him just pull out, get a beautiful trap block here to lead that play around the outside. And as so often is the case, if you can break that first block to the outside, then it's clear sailing. And there's nobody home, and Sanders lopes into that end zone.
Well, I don't know how Sanders does the other things like blocking, but he has explosive speed and the size to run up the middle or outside, and he and Neil Anderson are going to give a lot of defenses things to think about this year.
Sanders, they say, is faster than Anderson and showing you some real speed there, and it can, if they can alternate them, keep them fresh, that certainly would.
Go back to the man who cleared the way, Kurt Becker, who played at Michigan. That was some Michigan Wolverine team. That offensive line, all 5 starters made it in the NFL. Becker, Stan Humphreys, who is now up at Denver. They had Moransky, who played with the Raiders. Lilja was the center, and of course Bubba Paris at San Francisco. Stephon Humphreys was with the Bears before he went to Denver. Now we have a final in 21-14. Cincinnati defeats Phoenix. Winning score, a couple of Boomer Esiason touchdown passes in the second half, won it for the Bengals. Here's Ron Jaworski, the veteran quarterback, as Don Shula settled on the 2, Marino and Jaworski. Got the rookie Kerwin Bell of Florida and the veteran David Archer, and Don Strock didn't sign.
Well, a question. How much has Strock's absence affected Dan Marino? Not only best friends, but Strock was more than that. He was a personal guru.
But he didn't play defense.
No, he didn't play defense.
Jaworski. Complete. Flag down. And a first down out of the 35 as Dave Dorson makes the tackle of Mark Clayton.
Brought down by Stewart.
I think we've got a call on Al Harris for roughing the quarterback, too, on the far sideline as he has replaced the Fridge out there at left defensive end. There you see him, number 90, bottom of your screen.
It is against Chicago, and that'll take it all the way out to midfield.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Number 90. First down.
Al Harris, former #1 pick of the Bears in '79.
Watch the hit, which is out of bounds. Jaworski releases it. And, of course, the responsibility of Al Harris is to get off Jaworski. I think their feeling was that he could have done a better job of avoiding the quarterback. Not the kind of violent action that we have seen on some quarterbacks, but still justifiable within that new rule.
Less than 4 minutes to go. 34-7, Chicago.
Fumble. No.
Oh, in the grass, fan control. And Pat Eggers says no fumble.
You saw the official saying the whistle had already blown. Now, it wasn't too many years ago that they wouldn't have been in there to protect that quarterback, and that would have been a fumble. Watch the play for yourself. Jaworski, and this rule is in to protect the quarterbacks. Now, you can see the clamp on the bottom, and Haggerty right there, and what he's saying is we'd already blown that whistle.
Second and long, and the incomplete pass to Farrell Edmonds. He has not been the target much today. Still dramatic down at New Orleans, where San Francisco has a 5-point lead. And a lot of folks here in the Midwest interested in that Minnesota score as Buffalo leads by 3. Pittsburgh, a 3-point leader at home against the Cowboys. First final Cincinnati a winner. Rams will win at Green Bay late in the 4th. Philadelphia will be a winner at Tampa Bay, and Detroit will win at home against Atlanta. Third down and 20. Open is Clayton. He didn't really stretch out for that one as Mike Richardson was right there, as well as a rookie, David Tate, 49.
The Bears are not the kind of pressing, attacking defense that we saw them use in the 1985 season when they dominated things. Ditka had a good quote. He said, "We're not the dominant team we were in 1985," but he said, "I don't think anybody will ever dominate that way again," and he might be right about that. But they certainly have been effective defensively. It's more of a containing type of defense under Vince Tobin.
Well, it was only that Miami win down in the Orange Bowl on a Monday night that denied the Bears a perfect year. And of course, they clobbered the Patriots 46-10 in the Super Bowl. McKinnon, he likes to return punts. Had a couple for touchdowns last year. Down at the 23-yard line, David Fry made the tackle on special teams. Mike Tomczak comes in at quarterback now for Chicago. Stay tuned. Those are the games that comprise the second half of our NBC doubleheader.
21, 14.
Here's Tomczak, who played at Ohio State. There's a very strong Big Ten influence on this Chicago team. They've always drafted, going back to the early days of Hallis, from this part of the country.
You see Tomczak put up his hand so that the defense couldn't hear the call. Probably a habit ingrained in him when he was in college.
Kozlowski in motion. And the toss to Calvin Thomas. He's from Illinois, and he's out to the 27, a gain of 4. Rick Graff, Jackie Shipp in on the tackle. Give you an idea of that Big Ten influence. Hilgenberg, the centers from Iowa. Bortz played at Iowa. Thayer, Notre Dame, Midwest. Wojciechowski, Michigan State. Just saw Thomas, an Illinois graduate.
McMahon enjoying himself on the sideline, and he has earned a chance to take off that helmet. A fine outing for McMahon and the offense here today in their opening game.
Well, Payton's gone, but his numbers, remember, 34. Bears have 34 and Miami 7. Anderson. And we might be talking about number 35 and high respect in years to come. A little temper flare up as Anderson has another first down.
Inevitable.
Those rushing yards for the Chicago Bears continue to mount. This is going to be right at 2:50 now for Chicago as we're seconds from the 2-minute warning. And there it is, 2 minutes to go, and the Bears with a 34-7 lead. Blue skies over Soldier Field, and Chicago Bears blue, 34-7 the score. You notice I got my power tie on my teal. That's my Neil Anderson tie.
You better loan that power to this defense for the Miami Dolphins. They certainly have lost it here today, and we started the day talking about the concern of the two coaches, the fact that their teams had not played well. They had not looked solid in the preseason. Well, one of these coaches goes out of this game saying, I knew we could get it together at the beginning of the season. The other one, Don Shula, takes his team home, and boy, that is going to be a depressing viewing of the films and a very long flight going home, because there is not much to cheer about in Miami tonight.
Donald Francis Shula, the second winningest coach in NFL history behind the immortal George Halas. And on the ground, the Bears. National Football League rules require that we present away games starting with the opening kickoff to stations in New York, Cleveland, Houston, Seattle, and San Diego. We'll be leaving this game in just seconds now for a telecast involving your home team. However, we'll continue to bring you reports on this game, so stay with us on NBC. Neil Anderson, our Budweiser most valuable player, 119 yards rushing today. Budweiser will make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the most valuable players selected in our NBC games. And a final that'll please Bears fans: Buffalo 13, Minnesota 10. Bills even without Bruce Smith. Impressive defensively today against high-powered Minnesota. Anderson finally shut off on the outside. Jackie Shipp, number 50. Another final, Rams 34, Green Bay 7. Jim Everett, a couple of touchdown throws in that one.
You saw a nice smile flash to the sideline. I'll tell you somebody else that I'm sure is smiling.
I know who you're going to say.
Walter Payton.
You bet.
Walter Payton. And I'm sure he's thrilled at the kind of play that Neil Anderson has demonstrated today. And those who have scoffed at the way that situation is handled have to be impressed. Well, we're almost 1/16 of the way through the regular season. And so far, the Bears look great.
For their final in, Pittsburgh beat Dallas 24-21. So the Steelers of Chuck Noll open at home with a big victory over the Cowboys. Final.
Due to contractual agreements with the National Football League, we must leave our coverage of this game so that we may bring you in its entirety the San Diego at Los Angeles Raiders game. We'll continue to keep you informed of the Miami and Chicago game. We'll be right back with the Chargers and the Raiders following these messages from your local station.